Oh my god, what is she on about? What is consent? Everyone's gonna think you're crazy. Why does she not love me? And why does... Hello everyone, welcome back to my first video since moving back to Ireland. And you'll notice I have a nice shiny new nose ring for you all to enjoy as well. Not that any of you care, but sure, look, it's there. So welcome back to another video. This week I'm gonna talk about something kind of funny. It's something that I actually thought of like completely myself. And I was like, oh, that would be actually really interesting to do a video on. And then I actually Googled it and I saw that other people are actually talking about this as well. It's so funny that other people have noticed this because it's so random. And that is how my cat taught me about consent. Now, you're probably like, oh my god, what is she on about? The videos really have taken a turn. She has something wrong. But honestly, it's fascinating. So I have a cat. She's like... we actually don't even know how old she is because she's a rescue cat. We think she was 3 when we got her. No, we think she was 4 when we got her and we've had her for 4 years. So we think she's around 8. So she's a grown up cat, like knows what she likes, knows what she doesn't like, etc. And she didn't have the greatest upbringing in life. So I think that probably maybe affects her outlook on life. And I found myself really thinking about consent when I'm around her, and I'll go into why in the next few minutes. But first, I guess I want to talk about like what is consent for maybe people who don't know, or like do people think I'm like sexually assaulting my cat? Like, no. So basically, obviously we hear about consent a lot in like the feminist sphere regarding sexual consent. So obviously not sexually assaulting people, not raping people, you know, say if you're drunk you can't give consent, you know, if you're underage you can't give consent, and it's basically like permission, I guess, for someone to like touch you or be intimate with you and like that whole kind of thing basically. But there's a bigger conversation happening now around consent, just in general. Like, doesn't have to be sexual. It can just be like family members, like, you know, not making kids give hugs to like family members that they don't really know. If people don't kind of want to be touched, like, don't touch them, you know. And again, not even in a sexual way. If it's like a handshake or a hug or just like kind of, you know, being close to each other, like on a couch or whatever. Like, if people aren't into that, they're not into it. And there's a bigger conversation happening around consent. And basically, like, why it's really important is because like these everyday kind of little acts of consent, like, you know, even like a child growing up learning that it doesn't have to hug someone that it doesn't want to, that teaches it independence and teaches it like bodily autonomy and teaches it that, oh, okay, it doesn't actually have to say yes to these things, and later on in life that will transcend, I guess, into their sexual relationships and all that. And I just thought it was really interesting because obviously I'm a giant feminist and I know a lot about consent, but I found myself with my cat kind of not actually being respectful to my cat. And you might be laughing, but like, I actually don't find it that funny. Like, I found myself, even though I'm like all about consent with like humans, I found myself like wanting to be like super cuddly with my cat, and she was not into it. But I'd be like, oh my god, like, why are you not being friendly to me right now? And I would be like actually raging, like, because I'd be like, oh, I wish my cat was friendly now, or, you know, this and that. And I just think it's so interesting that like, even as someone who, giant feminist was all about consent, I was still disregarding that when it came to my cat. And that's not okay. And like, it kind of shows me like, okay, well, I'm someone who knows about it and I'm disregarding it. So what if you're someone who doesn't really know about consent, has never really heard about it? Like, what is that person going to be like with like a human or their cat or their dog or whatever, you know? I was kind of just like, oh, that, like, what does that say about society if I'm not even respecting like my little kitty? So I thought really interesting to do a video on it, and I'm going to talk about some examples now of where I've been not respectful to her. Her name is Millie, by the way. She's very cute. And the reason I don't have her in this video is because she's out, she's doing her bits, she's chilling. Oh, is that her? No, that's a different cat. Oh, you just saw a different cat right now. That's so funny. Oh, fluffy kitty. And so she's out doing her bits. So I was like, I thought first of all, I was like, oh, will I get her into the video? And then I was like, wait, no. She probably doesn't want to be in the video. She probably, like, she wouldn't sit still. She'd be all over the place. And then I'd be like trying to get her back in the frame just to have her in the video. And no, I might put in a picture for the thumbnail if I have one. But yeah, she's out doing her bit, so I was like, I'm not gonna force her to be in my video. She just want to be in my video. She's out, she's chilling. So yeah, that's why she's not here. So like, one really good example is my kitty. She likes belly rubs, but she only likes them for about 40 seconds. So you're there, you're rubbing her belly, she's lying back, she's like, woo, rub my belly, and you're there rubbing it, she's having a great time, or both having a great time. But then when she doesn't want it anymore, she makes it very clear she doesn't want it. She's like scrawling you, she's like, stop! And if you just stop, she's grand, like. But if you keep going, obviously she's raging. And I would find myself like kind of like getting angry because I was like, oh, like I want to continue rubbing her belly. And I would find myself being annoyed that she didn't want me to keep rubbing it. And even as I'm like saying these words out loud, I'm like, oh my god, Lara, everyone's gonna think you're crazy. But I really am fascinated by it, and it's really taught me a lot. Because like, I was like, why am I getting so angry that she is not allowing me rub her belly? Like, she is allowed not want me to rub her belly. And like, what I found so fascinating is that like, obviously she does not think about any of this, which is amazing. Like, she is just acting exactly how she wants to act, and she is saying, no, I don't want you to rub my belly, and she's making it very known. Whereas like me growing up, or even now, like I would be really uncomfortable to tell people, oh, stop doing that now, or like, and I feel so many women in general don't feel like they have a voice and don't feel like they can say no, or don't feel like they can say like, oh, actually I'm not really into that now, because we've been taught that we kind of have to accept these things. But honestly, my cat has literally taught me that you can literally just be like, no. And I honestly respect, obviously, as I said, like, she doesn't think of this at all, but I respect it so much. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool that you like something and then you want it to stop and you let it known. I just think that is amazing. Genuinely, I'm not even joking. And I think it's funny as well, it's like, you know, she likes the belly rubs and then she doesn't like them. And like, you know, there's this whole thing about like, you know, sexual consent. It's like, oh, well, you know, you wanted to do it yesterday, you know, why didn't you want to do it now? And it's like, we think that because a person consented one time to something that they will want to do it again and again. And it's like, no. No. Like, they wanted to do it then, under those circumstances, on that day when they were feeling it. And they're allowed not want to do it again. And my cat honestly really, like, kind of broke that down for me. Because, like, she likes her belly rubs when she wants it. And then when she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. And just because she liked 10 minutes ago doesn't mean that I have permission to do it again now. It doesn't. Like, if she wants it now, I'll do it now. But if she doesn't, I have absolutely no permission to do it now. And honestly, it's like so simple, but it's like, oh my god, yes, that makes so much complete sense. Like, oh my goodness, yeah. And I think what's also fascinating is that like, I'll be like rubbing her cheeks, I'll be rubbing her belly, I'll be, you know, giving her food and water. And I sometimes get angry because I'm like, oh, like, why isn't she not like really friendly towards me? And why does she not love me? And why does she not really want to be around me? And I realized that I was thinking that because I was like, oh, I think she owes me something. Like, I was there like, well, you know, I'm rubbing her belly and I'm giving her food. So like, she owes me this. Like, she owes me absolutely nothing. If she wants to snuggle with me, she can do that. If she wants to be close to me, she can do that. But just because I rub her belly or like give her cuddles or give her food does not mean she owes me anything. And honestly, like, that transcends into like the human sphere so much. Like, if a guy buys you dinner, you do not owe him anything. If a guy has helped you with your car, I don't know, you do not owe him anything. I feel like that's still such a thing, like, in our society. Like, genuinely, I feel like we really are like, oh, well, I kind of feel bad now, I have to do that now because he was really nice to me, or like, he bought me that now, so I need to do that. And it's like, absolutely not. Like, our bodies are not for sale. Like, you don't have to be sexually intimate with someone just because they bought you dinner. Like, how? That makes no sense. How? Like, and how? But we have normalized that. We have internalized that and said, oh yeah, like, well, I guess now that, you know, he bought me dinner, I guess I have to maybe do something there. And it's like, what? And like, you often hear stories about girls that are like, oh, you know what, I didn't want to have sex with them, so I just gave him a blowjob. And it's like, oh my god, like, did you think that you had to give him something? Like, that's just, oh mate, and then it makes me so sad and honestly breaks my heart. And I'm like, oh my god, no. Like, so honestly, like, that really, like, my cat honestly really drove that home for me, that like, just because I do all these things for her does not mean she owes me anything. And honestly, it's so like actually refreshing once you learn that, because you're like, okay, well, no, I won't force myself now on her. And like, it honestly just feels so much better, because you're like, it doesn't feel good when you have to like force someone to like you, you know what I mean? Like when I know my cat doesn't like something, it doesn't feel good when I'm like rubbing her belly against her will. That doesn't feel good for me, and definitely not for her. So why would I continue to do that? Like, and that goes for anything in life. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, violating someone's bodily autonomy, it doesn't. And anyone who is continuously disrespecting people's bodily autonomy need to stop, to be honest. Some other examples, like when my cat say, like, if she wants to go out and I like want to keep her in my room, but she's like literally let me out, like, I have to let her out, you know what I mean? I'm not like literally keep her against her will, like. And again, it's just more and more examples of like me being like, yeah, like she is her own woman. And honestly, like it's why I respect cats so much, because they are like, everyone hates them because they're so independent, but honestly I think it's amazing, and I think they're so honest and they show you exactly what they like and don't like, and honestly we can all take inspiration from them. I'm not even joking. But I'm also kind of like, maybe is it like reflective of our society? I could be reaching now, but I'm like, maybe that's like, do we not like cats because they don't give us love? Like you always hear that, like, oh, cats are so unfriendly. It's like, but like, why do you expect that from them? Like they're a different type of animal. Like, and like everyone compares them with dogs, and obviously dogs are so lovely and friendly, which is really nice. Like I love dogs. I agree. But it's like, why do we get a pet just so that they will love us? The whole point of getting a pet is that like you look after them, or you just have them around. Like why are you literally, like why are you buying something so that it will love you? It's weird. Like when you think about it, it is weird. Like, so yeah, you should all just go home and think about that some more. Another example is my cat hates being picked up. Like she hates it. Like literally you pick her up and she's literally like, get me out. And like I love holding and I love picking her up, but she hates it. And like I can't continue doing it. It's not fair. And like if I want her to love me, that definitely is not how I should go about it. I shouldn't like force myself on her, which is why like we shouldn't force ourselves on people if they don't want it. That won't make them love us. I sound like someone who's like really desperate for her cat's love. I am, but the moral of the story is that I'm not going to force her to love me. Now I really sound cuckoo. So yeah, that is this video. I hope I have made people think, and I hope people will go home and just let their cats be, and let their dogs be, let everyone be. Just don't force yourselves on people, and that's, you know, whether sexually or not. Just, you know, like even like little kids, don't make them hug people. You know, don't hug people if they don't want to be, you know. And I think like I'm honestly so grateful to my cat for teaching me about this and just kind of driving some of the points that I knew already in my head, but she really drove them home, and I'm like, thank you. So this video is dedicated to Millie and all cats everywhere who are a shining beacon of hope and an example of how we should all be in our lives. Strong, independent, say what we like, say what we don't like, and don't feel bad for it. So there you go. Have a great week everyone, and see you in the next one. Bye!